Chapter 18 of The People of the Abyss. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Peter Yearsley. The People of the Abyss by Jack London. Chapter 18. Wages. When I learned that in Lesser London there were 1,292,737 people who received 21 shillings or less a week per family, I became interested as to how the wages could best be spent in order to maintain the physical efficiency of such families. Families of 6, 7, 8, or 10 being beyond consideration, I have based the following table upon a family of 5, a father, mother, and 3 children, while I have made 21 shillings equivalent to $5.25, though actually 21 shillings are equivalent to about $5.11. Rent, $1.50, or 6 shillings. Bread, $1, or 4 shillings. Meat, 87.5 cents, or 3 shillings and sixpence. Vegetables, 62.5 cents, or 2 shillings and sixpence. Coals, 25 cents, or 1 shilling. Tea, 18 cents, or 9 pence. Oil, 16 cents, or 8 pence. Sugar, 18 cents, or 9 pence. Milk, 12 cents, or 6 pence. Soap, 8 cents, or 4 pence. Butter, 20 cents, or 10 pence. Firewood, 8 cents, or 4 pence. Total, $5.25, or 21 shillings and twopence. An analysis of one item alone will show how little room there is for waste. Bread, $1. For a family of 5, for 7 days, $1 worth of bread will give each a daily ration of 2.8 cents. And if they eat 3 meals a day, each may consume per meal 9.5 mils worth of bread, a little less than 1/2 pennyworth. Now, bread is the heaviest item. They will get less of meat per mouth each meal, and still less of vegetates, while the smaller items become too microscopic for consideration. On the other hand, these food articles are all bought at small retail, the most expensive and wasteful method of purchasing. While the table given above will permit no extravagance, no overloading of stomachs, it will be noticed that there is no surplus. The whole guinea is spent for food and rent. There is no pocket money left over. Does the man buy a glass of beer, the family must eat that much less, and in so far as it eats less, just that far will it impair its physical efficiency. The members of this family cannot ride in buses or trams, cannot write letters, take outings, go to a twopenny gaff for cheap vaudeville, join social or benefit clubs, nor can they buy sweetmeats, tobacco, books, or newspapers. And further, should one child, and there are 3, require a pair of shoes, the family must strike meat for a week from its bill of fare. And since there are 5 pairs of feet requiring shoes, and 5 heads requiring hats, and 5 bodies requiring clothes, and since there are laws regulating indecency, the family must constantly impair its physical efficiency in order to keep warm and out of jail. For notice, when rent, coals, oil, soap, and firewood are extracted from the weekly income, there remains a daily allowance for food of 4.5 pence to each person, and that 4.5 pence cannot be lessened by buying clothes without impairing the physical efficiency. All of which is hard enough. But the thing happens. The husband and father breaks his leg or his neck. No 4.5 pence a day per mouth for food is coming in, no half pennyworth of bread per meal, and at the end of the week no 6 shillings for rent. So out they must go, to the streets or the workhouse, or to a miserable den somewhere in which the mother will desperately endeavour to hold the family together on the 10 shillings she may possibly be able to earn. While in London there are 1,292,737 people who receive 21 shillings or less a week per family, it must be remembered that we have investigated a family of 5 living on a 21 shilling basis. There are larger families. There are many families that live on less than 21 shillings, and there is much irregular employment. The question naturally arises, how do they live? The answer is that they do not live. They do not know what life is. They drag out a subter bestial existence until mercifully released by death. Before descending to the fouler depths, let the case of the telephone girls be cited. Here are clean, fresh English maids, for whom a higher standard of living than that of the beasts is absolutely necessary. Otherwise they cannot remain clean, fresh English maids. On entering the service, a telephone girl receives a weekly wage of 11 shillings. If she be quick and clever, she may at the end of 5 years attain a minimum wage of £1. Recently, a table of such a girl's weekly expenditure was furnished to Lord Londonderry. Here it is. Rent, fire and light, 7 shillings and sixpence. Board at home, 3 shillings and sixpence. Board at the office, 4 shillings and sixpence. Street car fare, 1 shilling and sixpence. Laundry, 1 shilling. Total, 18 shillings. This leaves nothing for clothes, recreation, or sickness, and yet many of the girls are receiving not 18 shillings, but 11 shillings, 12 shillings, and 14 shillings per week. They must have clothes and recreation, and man to man, so oft unjust, is always so to woman. At the Trades Union Congress now being held in London, the Gas Workers' Union moved that instructions be given the Parliamentary Committee to introduce a bill to prohibit the employment of children under 15 years of age. Mr. Shackleton, Member of Parliament and a representative of the Northern Counties weavers, opposed the resolution on behalf of the textile workers, who, he said, could not dispense with the earnings of their children and live on the scale of wages which obtained. The representatives of 514,000 workers voted against the resolution, while the representatives of 535,000 workers voted in favour of it. When 514,000 workers oppose a resolution prohibiting child labour under 15, it is evident that a less than living wage is being paid to an immense number of the adult workers of the country. I have spoken with women in Whitechapel who receive right along less than 1 shilling for a 12-hour day in the coat-making sweatshops, and with women trousers finishers who receive an average princely and weekly wage of 3 to 4 shillings. A case recently cropped up of men in the employ of a wealthy business house receiving their board and 6 shillings per week for 6 working days of 16 hours each. The sandwich men get 14 pence per day and find themselves. The average weekly earnings of the hawkers and costermongers are not more than 10 to 12 shillings. The average of all common labourers outside the dockers is less than 16 shillings per week, while the dockers average from 8 to 9 shillings. These figures are taken from a Royal Commission report and are authentic. Conceive of an old woman, broken and dying, supporting herself and 4 children, and paying 3 shillings per week rent by making matchboxes at 2.25 pence per gross. 12 dozen boxes for 2.25 pence, and in addition finding her own paste and thread. She never knew a day off, either for sickness, rest, or recreation. Each day and every day, Sundays as well, she toiled 14 hours. Her day's stint was 7 gross, for which she received 1 shilling 3.75 pence. In the week of 98 hours' work she made 7,066 matchboxes, and earned 4 shillings 10.25 pence, less her paste and thread. Last year Mr. Thomas Holmes, a police court missionary of note, after writing about the condition of the women workers, received the following letter, dated April the 18th, 1901. Sir, pardon the liberty I am taking, but having read what you said about poor women working 14 hours a day for 10 shillings per week, I beg to state my case. I am a tie-maker, who after working all the week cannot earn more than 5 shillings, and I have a poor afflicted husband to keep, who hasn't earned a penny for more than 10 years. Imagine a woman capable of writing such a clear, sensible, grammatical letter, supporting her husband and self on 5 shillings per week. Mr. Holmes visited her. He had to squeeze to get into the room. There lay her sick husband. There she worked all day long. There she cooked, ate, washed, and slept. And there her husband and she performed all the functions of living and dying. There was no space for the missionary to sit down, save on the bed, which was partially covered with ties and silk. The sick man's lungs were in the last stages of decay. He coughed and expectorated constantly, the woman ceasing from her work to assist him in his paroxysms. The silken fluff from the ties was not good for his sickness, nor was his sickness good for the ties and the handlers and wearers of the ties yet to come. Another case Mr. Holmes visited was that of a young girl, 12 years of age, charged in the police court with stealing food. He found her the deputy mother of a boy of 9, a crippled boy of 7, and a younger child. Her mother was a widow and blouse-maker. She paid 5 shillings a week rent. Here are the last items in her housekeeping account: tea, 0.5 pence; sugar, 0.5 pence; bread, 0.25 pence; margarine, 1 penny; oil, 1.5 pence; and firewood, 1 penny. Good housewives of the soft and tender folk, imagine yourselves marketing and keeping house on such a scale, setting a table for 5, and keeping an eye on your deputy mother of 12 to see that she did not steal food for her little brothers and sisters, the while you stitched at a nightmare line of blouses which stretched away into the gloom and down to the pauper's coffin a yawn for you. End of chapter 18.